PT Sports 84, going around the NBA for games from October 24th, 2022. Today is Tuesday, October 25th. Jumping into our first game, the Philadelphia 76ers are no longer winless. They get their first win last night against the Indiana Pacers. They beat the Pacers 120-106. It's kind of a collective effort from everyone. The Sixers started out hot, 33 points in the first quarter, 31 in the second. Kind of trailed off as far as competitive defense in the second half, but really strong effort from Embiid, 26 points. Didn't rebound it that great, only 5 rebounds, but he had 3 blocks. James Harden has been efficient as he's been all season. So far, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. Look really poised in this one. Tobias Harris chips in 4 threes. He gets 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Even gets a block. Tyrese Maxey did struggle in this one, only 8 points. It's still a process for the Sixers, to be honest. Just trying to figure everybody out because you got, obviously, P.J. Tucker now in the lineup. Shifts Tobias Harris a little different in the pecking order. You've got to integrate Maxey in the lineup effectively. DeAnthony Melton off the bench has been consistent all year. He had 11 points. All in the first half, oddly, because Shake Milton made his season debut. Only played 6 minutes, only registered a rebound and an assist, didn't shoot the ball. I'll be interested to see how long they keep with Daniel House. I'm not that impressed by Daniel House. I would rather give those minutes to Matisse Thybulle or Furkan Korkmaz. I know obviously Korkmaz can't defend, but Thybulle can. Give a mix of those 18 minutes. Give them 8-9 minutes apiece, and let's see what one of them can do in place of House. I'm just not impressed by House. From the Indiana Pacers side, Jalen Smith looked good. He was aggressive, 17 points, 10 rebounds. But Tyrese Halliburton has just been on fire this year. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. Buddy Hield chipped in 18 points off the bench, didn't shoot it. Great from 3, only 3 of 10. Where I think the Pacers have a gem is Benedict Mathurin. He started out 0 for 7, but finished the game 6 of 16. Yes, he went 1 for 7 from 3, but he still ended up with 17 points. You've got to be encouraged with that. They started Aaron Nesmith. He looked okay, 9 points. Solid effort in 17 minutes. But Benedict Mathurin's where it is at small forward. I think it's not much longer until he gets in that starting lineup. Really can be effective overall. And the Pacers at this point just need Miles Turner to come back, and I think they'll be okay. They're not going to be as bad as people think they were last in the conference. Or anything like that. Chris Duarte got going in this one, 9 points in 16 minutes. I don't know what it is with Duarte not playing that much. I don't know if he's just not a favorite of Rick Carlisle's this year, but, just interesting there for them. Andrew Nembhard's still playing a ton of minutes. He's that trusted, heady kind of combo guard off the bench. He's actually playing more of the 2 guard. In some spots off the bench, playing more than T.J. McConnell at the point guard right now. So interesting to see how that unfolds. But our next game, the Miami Heat fall to the Toronto Raptors 98-90. The Raptors have clamped down basically on Miami. And that's what it was. So with the Toronto Raptors, they had a balanced effort. Fred VanVleet, they have 24 points from Fred VanVleet, 23 from Pascal Siakam. They actually had to rally in the fourth quarter, and it just seemed like Miami ran out of gas late in the game. Miami, though, got 22 points from Tyler Hero. Hero's looked impressive this season in a starting role. They've got to get more out of Kyle Lowry. Lowry only had 7 points in this one to go with 2 assists. That can't happen if you're going to win. They played small ball. Jimmy Butler played the 4 because Caleb Martin was out with the suspension. for what he did on Christian Coloco of the Raptors, where he shoved him. Duncan Robinson looked good off the bench, 12 points, and he can hit in spots. I don't know why they don't try to reintegrate him with Bam Adebayo overall. Where the struggle, and I think what made the difference, was Max Strus struggled shooting. Defensively, he was okay, but shooting the ball was not good for him. The Toronto Raptors, I just like their effort overall of what they have as a team collectively. Coloco actually started at center, which moved Siakam up. They did not have Scotty Barnes in this one. Barnes has that ankle injury from the last game, so I don't know how long he'll be out. I think it was just precautionary. They did get Gary Trent Jr. to chip in 4 threes. He had 18 points. 10 points by Precious Achiuwa. 22 rebounds by Precious Achiuwa. He's been really hitting it on the defensive glass. Chris Boucher got to play basically just his normal role, score some points, things like that. Nothing else stood out in the box score for him. Foul prone, but that's going to be a given his first game back. OG Anunoby was solid. Good defensive effort, as always. Did get 5 fouls, so he had to sit for a little bit early, but ended up coming back and being clutch down the stretch. So interesting there to see, overall with Miami. I still think they need another piece. They need that Jay Crowder piece at the power forward spot, if I'm being completely honest. Yes, you could say Jay Crowder is not necessarily, who he was 3-4 years ago, but I think he's an upgrade over Caleb Martin, essentially in that power forward spot that can help stretch the floor, play a little bit of defense, and then just be a locker room presence overall as well. Next game, the Knicks beat the Orlando Magic 115-102. The Knicks are actually looking good, this year. I've been decently impressed by them, to be honest. RJ Barrett actually shot it decently in this one. 7 for 19. That's better than what he's been shooting. The 3 for 14, I think, in the debut it was. He had 20 points. Julius Randle had 25 and 12. He's been really good, 4 assists. Mitchell Robinson, 14 points, 6 rebounds. 21 points out of Jalen Brunson to go with 6 assists. So he's been really good for them. Evan Fournier continues to start. I would like to see, once Quentin Grimes is healthy, to see if Grimes can overtake Fournier and Fournier gets moved. Isaiah Hartenstein has been effective on the glass all year. This is one Isaiah Hartenstein, getting into the 2K stuff. And like I said yesterday, next week I'm going to really be diving in when I do these recaps into where the ratings are with 2K, because I expect a roster update with ratings updates, the first rating update of the season, to be next Thursday. Where these ratings are, because guys like Hartenstein that are a 74, Grimes that's a 72, those guys need to be up in the 76 range, most definitely. Toppin should be a little bit higher. And this one, Toppin went 4 for 6, 10 points. Looked effective. Derrick Rose should drop from an 81 on down, personally, and you could better spread the ratings for Toppin, Hartenstein, Reddish, Grimes. Those guys better spread those out across the roster. But that's just an example of what I was wanting to go over next week. I forgot, for the Orlando Magic, I wanted to touch on one thing. A lot of people were critical on Bol coming to the Orlando Magic. 8 of 10 from the floor in 20 minutes. So he had 19 points, 5 rebounds in 20 minutes of play. Really good. He's taking better shots this year. Looks really energized to be in that lineup. Looks to me like he's playing the power forward spot. You've got Because of injuries, you've got Caleb Houston playing the two-guard spot, Chuma Okeke, or Okiki or Okeke. I'm not sure exactly how he says that. I think it's Okeke. He wasn't effective in this one. He only played 12 minutes, but they're spreading kind of the forward roles around. Like, to me, a lot of people are praising Paolo Banchero, and he looks okay, but who else is going to score effectively for the team with so many injuries? The Cole Anthony obviously is going to score. He had 14 points, 4 assists. Franz Wagner, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's playing more of a point forward role, so Cole Anthony doesn't have to handle the ball as well. They're still starting Terrence Ross at the 2. Once Suggs comes back, I think he'll take back that shooting guard spot. Wendell Carter Jr., 17 and 11. He's always effective. I really like him. Mo Bamba's one where it's like they paid him, and I'm like, why? Like, you could have let another team take him. You could have had Bobo as the backup and been okay. Like, I don't get that one, but that's just me. The game that I was able to see more so of than the others was the Boston Celtics against the Chicago Bulls. This one I thought was going to be a blowout early. Like, the Celtics came out firing. The Jalen's, Tatum and Brown, the Jays, I'm sorry, Jalen and Jason, 26 points for Jason Tatum, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 21, 6 and 2 with 2 blocks for Jalen Brown. They look good, but I don't know what happened. Like, early on, they came out to a great start, good defensively. Brogdon came off the bench to chip in 12 points, 6 rebounds. They looked effective, but they just didn't get anything out of Derek White. Not much out of Marcus Smart as well. They got good defense, but just not offensively the leap they were going to take. Grant Williams gets thrown out of the game. The Chicago Bulls, you got to hand it to Chicago, who everybody kind of wrote off early as being a 9th, 10th seed, including myself. They've been effective. Like, Vucevic had 18 points, 23 rebounds to go with 5 assists. DeMar DeRozan ends up with 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. You had Zach LaVine with 19 points. Ayu Dosunmu, 22 points, 6 rebounds. Andre Drummond off the bench with 12 rebounds. Just effective play overall. Even Goran Dragic and Derek Jones Jr. got into the mix overall. One thing I want to note is, I don't know how many of you pay attention to these rotations here, but like Tony Bradley should not be in the rotation here. Tony Bradley should be out of the rotation. Kobe White should be limited in the rotation. The minutes should go to Derek Jones Jr. Just for effective online play. Like, those should be more balanced. That's something that the roster team, I think, could pay a little bit more attention to. If they can't do it daily, at least every couple days, go in and fix the rotations on who's active and who's not active. That would help things along the way. Next game that happened last night, the Utah Jazz, who were undefeated, go up against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets end up winning 114-108. The Utah Jazz didn't look as poised. The reason is they kind of focused on Lauri Markkanen, and Markkanen struggled a little bit. 7 of 19 from the floor, 0 for 6. He still had 14 and 6, but just wasn't as effective as he was previously. What I like to see is Simone Patricio ended up coming off the bench. He was a spark as a shooter. That's what he was signed for. Finally got some minutes, 15 minutes, and he ended up with 13 points. He was one of their better bench players. Malik Beasley and Colin Sexton continue to come off the bench to spark that second unit. Sexton ended up with 10 points, 5 rebounds. Didn't really shoot it that much. He was 4 for 7 from the floor. Would like to see him shoot a little more. Malik Beasley, 5 of 9 for 12 points. Jordan Clarkson is starting. What's up, MJ Wizards? I'm sorry, everybody, if I missed comments or anything like that. I was paying more attention to my notes on this side than the screen on this side. Usually, like when I'm doing the 2K stuff, I kind of memorized what I was going to say versus the NBA stuff. So I look a little more at my notes just to make sure I don't miss anything major of what I've written down for each of the teams. But Jordan Clarkson's still starting. I like him more on a reserve role on a contending team, so hopefully at some point somebody will trade for him, but he had 17 points. Jared Vanderbilt and Kelly Olynyk both had 13 points apiece for the front court. But what did thanks, MJ. I appreciate that. Very nice of you to say, yeah, I'm trying something new this year. I want to keep going. Trying to get that subscriber base up. So, we just got to keep pushing forward. Like, I'm going to keep doing it. I love talking hoops. So, I just got to hope that viewers keep coming. So I appreciate you and everybody else that's tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Houston Rockets, they got a balanced effort. What was cool to see in this one is Jabari Smith played center, right? Well, Jabari Smith got more effective looks. Like, I like the spots he was in to get more effective looks. Just overall, like, more efficient shooting. He was still foul prone, but, 21 points to go with 9 rebounds. Kevin Porter Jr. went off 26 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He's looked great this year. His rating definitely will be going up. Jalen Green was effective in this one, 25 points, shot it very efficiently from the floor. Kenyon Martin Jr. got the start in this one at power forward. They're going to have to move his position back to power forward. He was more kind of in there a little bit for defense. He didn't shoot it well, 1 for 9 from the floor. Eric Gordon, who I expect to be traded at some point. I don't know why the Lakers wouldn't try to go after Eric Gordon just to be a shooter to help as a veteran. 13 points for him. Tari Eason, who definitely will have to go up in a roster update. Very effective defense off the bench. Rebound well, 9 rebounds to go with 11 points. Didn't shoot it great, but just as a spark of energy that I love to see overall. Şengün and Fernando were both injured, so they didn't play in this one. So basically it was Usman Garuba and Jabari Smith at the center spot, which, in fairness, Şengün is very good off the bench. I like him effectively with the second unit. So I would not be shocked if Jabari Smith ends up taking the center role, and then you have Jae'Sean Tate take the power forward role. When Jae'Sean Tate comes back, obviously he's been injured all year. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. I know they don't necessarily want to play Jabari at center, but the way he looked yesterday compared to the first 2 games, definitely a difference there. Moving on, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who are another team I thought would struggle early with the injury to Jaren Jackson Jr. They're rolling. They end up beating the Brooklyn Nets 134-124. With the Nets, man, Ben Simmons, I try to give him benefit of the doubt, right? Like, okay, offensively, you're not the most offensive guy, but you got your points in transition and all that stuff. He just acts like he doesn't want to be out there. Offensively, just going through the motions. He had 8 assists, but only had 7 points, and he fouls out again. He just does not look interested to be on this team. Kyrie, him and Durant, it's basically ISO basketball constantly. 37 for Kyrie, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. 37 for Durant, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. They shot it well from the floor, for the most part, but nobody else did anything for this team. No spark from Patty Mills, nothing from Joe Harris coming off the bench. He had 8 points, but Joe Harris should be in the starting lineup. Like, you need the shooting and spacing on the floor. Like, Ben Simmons, man, I just don't get it. I don't know that this Brooklyn team is going to go very far come playoff time if Ben Simmons can't get it together. But for the Grizzlies, that's what I wanted to talk about more so than the depressing Nets. John Morant, fantastic. 38 points from Morant. 8 rebounds, 7 assists. but more so my guy, Desmond Bane, who's one of my favorites in the NBA already. 38 points to go with 7 assists. He went off. 8 threes in this game. Even got to the line a little bit. Santi Aldama, who is hands down one of the guys that's going to go up with the biggest movers next week, I predict. He had another efficient game, 6 for 8 from the floor, 17 points, 4 rebounds. Bench play, Brandon Clark came in, 13 points off the bench. But more so, Dylan Brooks made his debut in this one. Dylan Brooks started at small forward, did not shoot it well. Dylan Brooks would be one for this Grizzlies team if they can get a little bit once Zaire Williams is healthy. If they can get Williams and Jake LaRavia to kind of step up into bigger roles, I could see Dylan Brooks traded at the trade deadline, to be honest. He takes a lot of bad shots. I like Dylan Brooks, but ever since the playoffs last year where he was just chucking up shots out of nowhere, I kind of soured a little bit on him because I like efficient play. Like, you don't have to always score, but just make the right play. You know, it is what it is. But next game. So San Antonio was supposed to be the worst in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, right? Well, San Antonio gets another sneaky win, 115-106 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. At one point, they built a 35-point lead. And for me, it's Devin Vassell. Been great this year. He had 23 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in this one. 18 points from Keldon Johnson. Jeremy Sohan, really good at power forward. Kind of a jack-of-all-trades guy. 14 points, 4 rebounds. Really like him starting at power forward. He's going to go up in the roster update. Obviously, Vassell will go up, or Vassell, however you want to say it, will go up. Trey Jones didn't shoot it great in this one, but Josh Primo came in. Josh Primo is a point guard, 2K. He comes in and subs for Trey Jones. Like, he's a point guard. They want him as a ball handler. Josh Richardson, who's been in trade talks with the Los Angeles Lakers, 9 points off the bench, just kind of sparking the second unit. Zach Collins, efficient, 11-4 and 5 off the bench. Jakob Poeltl, 14-14. Jakob Poeltl is another one that needs to go up. They don't value him enough in 2K from a rating standpoint. He should be an 80-81 easily. Going to the Timberwolves side of things, Karl-Anthony Towns finally snapped out of his low scoring, 27, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. But Rudy Gobert, 11 points, only 7 rebounds. That, to me, was the difference in this one. Gobert couldn't rebound well. D'Angelo Russell goes off for 25 points to go with 7 assists. Anthony Edwards shot himself out of this game. 3 for 15 from the floor. Really struggled shooting it. Only 9 points, 10 rebounds. The 10 rebounds is a good sign, but the 9 points obviously not. Jalen Noel off the bench. 13 points, 9 rebounds. Looked really good. Naz Reid's back in the rotation. So that was good to see. Consecutive games of him. But if this team's going to go to new heights, it's got to be Anthony Edwards. That's really a spark moving forward. He's got to be more efficient across the board for them. But tough to see the Timberwolves lose this one to a Spurs team that potentially would want to tank. Last game of the night. Man, you got to feel good if you're a Dame Lillard and Portland Trailblazers fan. Trailblazers win again. They are undefeated. 135-110, they beat the Denver Nuggets. Dame Lillard, 31 points to go with 8 assists. More so would help them, again, a huge spark from Anthony Simons. I expect him to go up in the next biggest movers update. 7 threes off the rip, basically 29 and 5 for him. You got 13 out of Nurkic. All he had to do was concentrate on rebounds. Josh Hart even rebounded it well with 11 rebounds to go with 6 points and good defense. Jeremy Grant has really helped this team as another person who can stretch the floor. 21 points for him. One of my favorite rookies, 2K also has to injure Trendon Watford. He's out for a while. They still haven't done that, hopefully, in today's roster update. Shaden Sharp, 4 for 6 from the floor, 11 points. He's just a scorer. Really like him off the bench. Nasir Little coming off the bench, 4 for 6, 11 points as well. Looked efficient in this one. This Blazers team, Chauncey Billups has got them playing well. Denver, I am worried about their defense. They're just giving up 135 points. That can't happen if you're an elite, wanting to be an elite playoff team. Jokic was in foul trouble in this one. Only had 9 points to go with 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Obviously, the 9 rebounds, 9 assists was great, but the points, you want like 29 points out of Jokic, not 9. Aaron Gordon, 26 points, 6 rebounds. He looked good in this one. He should go up next week as well. He's played pretty well this season. Michael Porter Jr., 18 points. Michael Porter Jr.'s defense isn't that great. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I'm sure if they could get him going, they would. He's just struggled this year. Jamal Murray, knew was going to struggle. He's probably going to go down in next week's update. He hasn't looked good at all coming back from injury. That 84 will probably go down to like an 82 or 81, somewhere in that range. He just hasn't shot it well as he's coming back healthy. They've got to do something about this bench. Just the collective unit of the bench is not great to me. Christian Braun didn't do well in this one he had in the previous games. Bones Highland was the only one that really sparked them, and even he can't do enough. He had 15 points, but that's just not enough coming off the bench. You've got a bench of Bruce Brown, who, yes, he does efficient things across the board, but he's not like a go-to scorer. DeAndre Jordan shouldn't even see the floor, in my opinion. It should be Zeke Nnaji, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they go and get a bench piece overall. But if I'm the Nuggets, I'm a little worried about that defense overall, to say the least. So tonight is a 4-game stretch for the games for Tuesday. It's Detroit and Washington. That should be a good one. Cade Cunningham against Bradley Beal. Dallas against New Orleans. That one I'm going to be interested to see if Zion actually plays after falling on his hip. Brendan Ingram is not going to play. He's getting concussion protocol. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes. I think Luka will go off. That's on TNT. That's the one I'll be watching. The Clippers against OKC. Clippers look to bounce back after losing their last game against Phoenix. And then speaking of Phoenix, they're in the late game against Golden State. I'll be curious to see how that game goes, if Golden State rests anybody or if they're going to really go all out and try to beat Phoenix. I think the key is going to be DeAndre Ayton's got to get going early for Phoenix if they want to have a chance. Chris Paul's also got to shoot it better as well. So that's it for Around the NBA for today. If there is a significant 2K roster update this morning, I will be all over that. I will have a video recorded. There was an update yesterday, but there wasn't enough in there that was significant enough to do a video. The only things in it were updating injuries for teams. Like Mo Wagner got injured for the Magic. There was injuries as far as Miles Turner was designated with an injury. They took off Jackson Hayes' injury for the Pelicans. Really, the only current team move that would be made in today's update would be Jordan Hall was waived from his two-way spot to sign Charles Bassey to a two-way contract for the Spurs. Otherwise, there's not a lot of current content. I'm still waiting on all of the retro content to go in. There was a lot of missing faces that were added in the patch that were not added into the MyNBA eras or the classic teams. Those faces are still missing. There's tons and tons of retro feedback that still needs to go into the historic draft classes, the MyNBA eras, and the classic teams as far as touching up some small errors and things like that, adding players to the draft classes that are missing, fixing some faces for guys that have cap faces that should have real cyber face IDs, things like that. So hopefully at some point that feedback goes in. I don't know when. I don't have any inkling of when it's getting put in. I can only pass the info on. So hopefully that stuff goes in. But I will be back with another Around the NBA tomorrow morning. Like I said, if anything roster update is significant, I will put a video out. If you don't see one, nothing significant was in it. If one does come out. But please, if you like this video, hit that like button. Go ahead and hit it now. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you like this content, I'm going to try to do it daily. The weekends are tough for me because that's more of my busier time than anything else. So the weekend videos are probably going to be slim. Jordan, they won't add any new historic teams this year, no. If they do it, it'll be next year, and even then with the era stuff, I don't know that that's what they're going for if the era stuff does come back. So, but like I said, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Daily, Monday through Friday, Around the NBA game recaps. I'll also start next week with highlighting which players on teams should, in my opinion, go up or down based on the first ratings update, and then we'll have a ratings update video to review who went up and down on Thursday if they do in fact drop a update next Thursday, not this Thursday. We'll see what happens there. But thanks everybody for watching. Like I said, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.